Hey friends, Faviola the TheCEOHustler here, always helping you boss up and rise. Let's talk about medical interpreting and certification. If you do not know me, my name is Faviola Valencia. I am a business coach, interpreter trainer, and entrepreneur. I've been in this industry for over 20 years and I'm here to help you every step of the way. So let's get to it. Some of the questions that come into my DM are always, okay, how do I become a certified interpreter? It's a clear response, right? Just apply for your certification. However, it takes a lot more than just applying for a certification. It takes a lot of preparation, knowing what type of certification you want, knowing where do you see yourself in the next 2 to 5 years, and what industry you want to enter. I said this before and I'll say this again, okay? Just like any degree, career that you want to enter, it requires a full understanding as far as what you want to do with your life. I see so many young millennials, so many young adults where they spend 2 to 5 years, seeking a career that once they graduate and once they enter that particular industry, they find out that that was the biggest mistake of their life. Now they're in debt with, thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, time wasted. And as we know, we only have one life in this world. Therefore, we got to make sure that we do things the right way. So one thing that what I always tell my children is when they go into high school and they start applying for jobs, is really testing the waters. What do I mean by that? Testing the waters is, okay, where do you see yourself? What do you want to do with your life? And what type of job should you apply to? So for example, my son who's in the Navy, since he was 8 years old, he basically wanted to be a chef. So what better way to experience that industry and basically working in restaurants, whether it be fast food, whether it be Mexican food, whether it be Taco Bell, I don't care where, but really understanding what it takes to become a chef. It's not just about cooking, right? It's about preparation. It's about taking the orders. It's about, cooking things the right way, whether you want it medium, rare, or raw, whatever, right? So really understanding. So throughout his high school years, he applied and worked at different jobs. Once he graduated, he knew what he wanted to do, and he still loved cooking. So he went into the Navy, and he is a chef in the Navy. My other son, who basically wants to be a boxer, right? He wants to be a professional boxer. And like we said, he's been boxing as well since he was 8 years old. He's 17 now. And like we told him, being a boxer takes a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work, a lot of training, a lot of positivity. And it's not something, that is a very, very hard career. A lot of punches, a lot of injuries that come along. If you like to get punched, then jump on in, right? But you have to understand what it takes to get there. So throughout all these years, he's been training, eating good, exercising, the whole 9 yards, and he's still in love with it. He's 17, like I said. So he's pursuing that career. My older son, the same thing, he's still trying to find his way, trying to find what he wants to do. He's gone to college for 2 years, but he still hasn't found his journey, his set goal. The same thing with this. Okay, you want to become certified. Are you sure you want to become a medical certified interpreter? Are you sure you want to become a legal or court interpreter, certified interpreter? So how are you going to know? By getting your feet wet, by, providing services, or doing some pro bono work, really tapping into those industries to see if that's the career you want to pursue. Like I said, if you haven't watched this video, I highly recommend that you watch it, how I started my journey, and how I decided to do the type of assignments that I'm doing now. If you don't know, if you haven't watched it, make sure that you watch this video. So, what you need to learn to become a certified interpreter, the requirements or prerequisites that you need to be the age of 18, over the age of 18. You have to complete a 40-hour training, and it has to be a training provided by the CCHI, the certification bodies, okay? And you need to be fluent in the source and the target language. So not only do you need to be fluent and proficient in the source and the target language, but you also need to have that experience. How do you gain that experience? You gain that experience by, I think we all started the same way, by interpreting for our friends and family, by really studying and training and improving our language skills, our terminology, more importantly. So if you want to be a medical interpreter, then you need to know the medical terms, both, for example, myself, the Spanish language and in the English language, those language pairs. You need to study. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. So if you're looking here, there, everywhere, but you're not focusing on getting familiarized with the terminology, you're setting yourself up for failure, and the time is just flying by. So things to consider, and I'm looking up at my screen, is, like I said, being bilingual, getting trained, improving your language skills, and really deciding what type of certification you want to do. Like I said before, and you're going to hear tons and tons of different things on the online world, okay? There's many business sectors where you do not need a certification, but that does not mean that you don't need the training, the right training, in order for you to get familiarized with those particular industries. Knowing the terminology, what's required, the introductions, the pre and post-op, to conducting an assignment. So it's super important that you guys understand that. So in this medical interpreting guide, I go over the overview of what you need to do, the requirements, the considerations, things that you must know, when deciding to enter this particular industry. I have a checklist of to-do list, your daily schedule, because it's super important that you start. Discipline is super important. I don't care what type of business, I don't care what you do in your life. Discipline, okay? Discipline, motivation, and just having that go-getter attitude. When things get tough, you get tougher and you boss up and you rise, right? You don't throw in the towel and give up, because life is going to throw punches, and it's up to us to take on those punches and roll with it and keep on moving through. Also very important, how do you present yourself as a true professional in your industry, which is little things. The little things are super important. Asking the right questions, setting your terms and conditions, setting your processes for your career as well as your business. You want people that are going to hire and contract you to take you as such, a professional, someone that knows and understands the industry, someone that knows and understands and displays that you are a professional, that you love this industry, that you know what the heck you're doing, and that you're not just in it to win it or in it for the money, right? Because remember, the person that you are interpreting for is depending on your language skills to convey that message, to get that message across accurately and completely. And when you don't do that, when you don't provide the services, you can possibly and potentially put that person at risk, but also putting yourself at risk. Because if you fail to do your job accordingly, that person can come back and sue you and file a complaint against you. And you don't want that. You don't want to jeopardize your career, and you don't want to jeopardize your business. So having said that, as far as preparation, again, there's different ways to prepare. You can, sign up for courses. You can sign up for at the colleges, or you can do self-training. Self-training basically is hitting the books, doing audio, you know, the basics, always go back to the basics, the basic terminology. I'm going to go ahead in the next module, the next lesson, I'm going to include a list of medical terms as well as legal terms. In other terms, for those of you that want to become educational interpreters, those of you that want to become conference interpreters, throughout the years, I've built my own terminology guides of the terminology that is used day in, day out for these on-site specific appointments, so that you guys can study and train. And like I said, when you're watching TV, don't just sit there and watch. Work on the interpretation. When you're watching the news, the same thing. Work on your interpretation, your simultaneous, your consecutive. When you're out in assignments, if it's a new term that you just learned and that you have to look up, write it down. Start creating your own terminology glossaries. Trust me, they work wonders. If you haven't started, I ask you to start now. Let me know in the comments. Let me know if this resonates with you. Let me know if this is something that you agree to. This is something that you've been doing. This is something that you're not doing. What do you want to hear? Where are you struggling? Let me know, so then that way I can create the right videos and training specifically for your needs. Because who knows, something that you might be struggling with, the next person is struggling with. Something that, things that I share are things that I've gone through, things, processes and procedures that I implemented, that I use in my business, and I share them with you. Let's continue to boss up and rise.